Aaron will be joining us today. He is traveling, so I will try and do my best rendition of a classic Aaron sort of intro starter with some of the consistent messaging that we have. The first one is obviously about Discord, where I know a lot of you guys are. We chat there sometimes, which is great. So please continue using that. Keep reaching out with your questions there. Keep sharing all the good things that you're doing. If you have ideas, if you need help, if you're looking to brainstorm, yeah, we'd love to see the interaction there. And yeah, please continue to use that forum. Of course, as well, as part of that, as Aaron always says, no one ever gets anywhere with automation without asking questions. So that's what we're here to do today, ask questions. Same on Discord. And of course, you guys have your trusty CSMs as well that you can reach out to at any time as well. That's 2 of 4. The third one is, of course, Flow. I don't have my trusty sidekick, Brian Simpson, to compete with to drop the Flow link in, so I will casually do that myself here now. There we go. Flow's coming up. Yeah, really excited to have our second big event in June this year. So if you haven't already signed up or registered, go and check that out. Take a look. Tickets are on sale. We've got hundreds of MSPs coming. It's a vendor agnostic event focused on automation and has lots of workshop style initiatives. So you're not just kind of there listening to people on the soapbox. You're able to kind of take away key learnings and do some workshop activities. Anyone want to help me with the fourth thing that Aaron usually says on Friday open mics?
Time
I'm
savings.
Curious because I'm drawing a blank. What was that, Craig?
Time savings.
Time savings. Time savings is a good thing to bring up. Yeah, that's a big reason of what we're here to do, right? Automate things, save time, create efficiency. I know you're going to show us some stuff later, Craig, that speaks to that. So looking forward to it.
And he does say, make sure that you're filling out your time savings so you can see the results of your workflows, because the best automations are forgettable.
There it is. Yeah. And of course, we'll finish it off with Aaron's classic saying of processes, right? You can't automate a process that doesn't exist. So with that in mind, we're going to stick to our process and agenda. And I'm going to invite my lovely Canadian friend, Mr. Danial, to come and chat about all things product that happened in April. So yeah, we had I mean, your team was killing it, Danial. Lots of stuff to talk about, and lots of new integrations I saw were getting released. So yeah, take it away and yeah, show us what you were cooking over in product.
Sounds good. Always killing it. Side note, there was talk about airports or something earlier. I kind of jumped in late, but everything I know about the UK airlines, I learned from, I think it's called The Show. I think the show is called Airline. It's about EasyJet, reality TV. Great show. Watch it. Anyway, back to product. We did have a great month of April. I'll go through a few things that have been that are new and exciting, and I will be around to answer any questions as well. SleazyJet, yeah. Okay, so first off, we have added some fun new integrations. We added Cork. Cork is for cyber warranty. So a few of the automations that some people have imagined up with the Cork integration are for ensuring that any of your compliance events can trigger other events in different systems. So for example, like the kind of easy one would be triggering events in your PSA. We also implemented the Slide integration. Slide is a new backup solution that was announced just at Right of Boom not too long ago. So yeah, backup solutions, we have a few of those, and it can just help you trigger backups or monitor to see if backup events have occurred and trigger if they have not. We added Notion. Notion is a documentation tool. We use it internally. We've got automations running on Notion right now, and it's been so helpful for us. Things like taking our release notes from GitHub and transferring those into Notion in more readable documentation. And then we've also integrated with Asana. Asana is a project management tool, so it's like a Scrum or Kanban style board. So what we use integrations like this for are syncing information between our PSA and our project management tool. So that is also doable using this Asana integration. We also have added a whole bunch of transforms actions. We're trying to really lean into the low code aspect of Roost and offer a lot more approachable ways of manipulating your data. So a few of the examples that we have are defang, refang, comparing dates, removing duplicates. Yeah, so check out the transforms section or the transforms integration for data manipulation. Think about that when you're building workflows going forward. We've also made a ton of iterative improvements to App Builder. Again, with App Builder, we're trying to make it more user-friendly, more of a drag and drop sort of WYSIWYG style app builder. And I'll show just a couple of the places where we've added some better functionality or more intuitive design. But that's a big focus for us in App Builder in the next probably 6 months or so. And last but not least, we have rolled out PowerShell in beta to everybody. There's a few kinks that we're still working out, but by and large, it's been pretty successful, and it's got people into Roost a lot faster because they don't have to necessarily learn something like Jinja. They can use some of the tools that they're used to and that they use in their day-to-day already. So with that, I can show a couple of items in here. So you can just see a subset of the actions that we have available in these new integrations. So yeah, things like listing your backups. You can do a bit of you can do some checks against these backups that list, and then you can start a backup if one is out of date. You can list projects and create tasks. In Cork, you can get your clients. So this is more for like billing reconciliation because Cork bills based on clients. So you can check how many clients you have there, and then you can check maybe in your agreement as well in your PSA. Compliance events, Notion creating pages. As far as the next thing I can talk a little bit about is just PowerShell. So setting this up, as long as you have Azure up and running in your instance, it's very simple. We have a ton of documentation on PowerShell as well. So you can see in this environment, we already have the interpreter deployed to an Azure function. That means that it will work. Once you have it deployed, it will work in the Jinja Live editor, now called just the Live editor. So you can see here that I have a PowerShell script that just takes a couple of words, concatenates them, puts it to uppercase. And you can see I have the same thing running here in Jinja. So this is in the exact same environment as well. So you can have two interpreters running in the same environment. One thing I will note that, let's see what happens here if I render this. On startup, the Azure function has to kick off. And so when I run it this first time, it might take a little bit longer to run. And then if I render this again, the Azure function's up and running. So it will run pretty quickly there. I also note that this works, you can PowerShell and Jinja both still work in the workflow builder. So you can see here that I have one no-op. That no-op has an alias that is in PowerShell, a separate alias that is in Jinja. And when I look at the execution summary, you can see that the Jinja alias and PowerShell alias both worked and had the same result there. We have the app builder improvements. So just navigating around app builder is meant to be easier and less coding involved. So if I wanted to change the data set of this chart, right now I have it looking at a ticket closures workflow that I have running. It's just a lot more user friendly. I can navigate between pages, go to another page in my app. This page is just meant to present a form on a branded page. You can actually, there's more accessible settings here, including site and page settings. So if I wanted to add a custom domain directly from this page, I could do that. And then, yeah, finally, we have some, let's see if I can run this. Just some of the transforms being used here. So if I look, at the input here, I had Danial. Oh, did I set this to false? Case sensitive, false. Okay, that's why. Let's close that. If I set case sensitive to true, I test this again. I was hoping to show it remove a duplicate, and demo gods have failed me. I swear I had this working before. Oh no, case sensitive is supposed to be false. Sorry. There we go. This should be work now. There we go. So it removed the duplicate entry there. But with that, I think that's it for me. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Back to you, George.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah. If anyone's got any questions for Daniel, feel free to come off your mic or drop them in the chat. Daniel, with it being the 1st of May, is there anything you wanna tease or you can share with us for what's coming up this month? Or are you going to be a classic, product guy and just keep your cards close to your chest?
No updates, no blockers. No. Okay. So we have some improved workflow results and workflow page search functionality coming out. So just the ability to filter and search your results. So for example, like between date ranges, better functionality there. We have some more integrations coming out and improvements to existing integrations that are coming out. So one that comes to mind is TD SYNNEX Stream 1 Stellar Ion. Most complicated name for a great product. We still have making more improvements to App Builder as well as the workflow canvas. Some of those might not be as apparent in the short term because we're like the workflow canvas redesign that we're working on right now is like a months and months long project that will probably be later on this year. But yeah, there's other stuff. If it comes to mind, I'll drop it in the chat.
Well, you guys did 4 new integrations like this past month, so I'm sure Aaron's looking for 5 or 6 in May. I'm just kidding. No, you guys did. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Next up, JP over the marketplace team. I know we have had some really cool updates and enhancements that took place in April. So yeah, I would love to invite you to share those on the European Open Mic.
Oh, thanks, George. I'm gonna share up my screen here. So over April, we released a few new crates and did a multitude of bug fixes. Encourage everyone, every week we are publishing what we're working on the Roost documentation page. So you can go here, you can check out new crates we're releasing, bug fixes. As we update crates, we document them there. So encourage everyone to check those out each week. We also provide kind of a estimation of what's coming up in the next few weeks. So in April, we released 3 or 4 new crates. I'm going to go through a few of them here. The first one here is a crate that is oriented on producing basically a gap analysis between the machines found in your RMM tool and the machines found in your antivirus portal. In this case, we designed this to work with Sentinel-1 and WebRoot, but if there are other ones that we integrate with or other ones that have an API that we could work with and you think it'd be useful for other people, let us know. But yeah, this basically, it produces a ticket in your PSA platform, and it lists both the computers that are missing in one and then the computers that are missing the other way as well. So if there's stuff in your antivirus platform that are missing in your RMM tool, then it'll also produce a list of that as well. See, Huntress just seems to, there are a couple suggestions in chat. I'll take a look at those. Next one, just wanted to mention, and all these are available in the marketplace right now, so you can go download them and check them out. The next one is alerting on new admin accounts. Basically, the way this works is you specify some permission roles in 365, and you configure them on your trigger. and then you can run it for a set period, and it looks for accounts created in the specified amount of past time that have been created that have those roles. So, and it puts them again in a ticket in your PSA platform of choice. They should, yeah, they should be. They're not available in EU yet. I'm not sure. All the crates that are in the marketplace should be available in all regions, as far as I know. If it's not, let me know. Drop it in the chat. The last one I'll go over real quick. I'll double check the regional thing real quick after the call. But last one I'm going to go over is the detect duplicate accounts. Basically, you specify, again, in the trigger, fields to look at. If it has 2 fields of the specified fields that match on a given contact, then it's going to consider a duplicate account. For example, if you have 2 people, 2 John Smith accounts, it'll generate those in your PSA platform. So those are a few of the crates that we've released in April. I encourage you also to look at, there are a few good ones in the, if you look back in March as well, a few ones I particularly like. And also, it's worth noting that for anyone using SuperOps or interested in using SuperOps, we added that as a supported RMM platform, so it'll work for all the existing crates. And we also added PSA support as well. That's all for this month.
Great, thanks so much, JP. Appreciate it. Lots of good stuff there. And yeah, there's some comments in the chat for you. So moving on, Clea from Education. You're next up. Again, another very busy month for you folks in April. Yeah, looking forward to seeing the update.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Guten Morgen, bon matin. Shout out to my European friends. I do have a slide here, so I'm happy to share that, but I'll also just go ahead and drop the links to everything. We simplified the onboarding page. I'll give you a sneak peek of that. We launched a brand new course that dives pretty deep, like into the deep end of Jinja. So if you are looking to up your Jinja skills, definitely check out that. We also added a new micro course, so one short video demonstrating how webhooks work in Roost to trigger automations. And just a reminder, not new, but get your certification in Roost Foundations and Clean Automation if you haven't already. And if you recently passed the exam, I'll show you where to find that in your Clea University profile. All right, so hopefully you're all seeing the Clea University page. Onboarding #1, whether you get there through this little blue button or the first tile card, you will notice that once it loads, it's a little bit simpler, offers a direct link to the 11 courses that guide you step-by-step through key things to do in onboarding, and also links to the onboarding sessions offered by our fantastic implementation specialists and TAMs. Jinja in action. I'll drop this link in the chat. Can also be found on our homepage. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll notice there's a lot of different videos with visual examples, gives you practical things to test, and real-world MSP context for that. In our course catalog, you should be able to find it now that I've tagged it correctly, a new micro course on webhooks. So that one is right here in action. It's also been added to one of our automation basics courses, but if you just want this little learning snack, it is there for you as a micro course. Roost Foundations, here's a link to the exam. That will earn you a certificate that you can share on LinkedIn, print out, put on your fridge like I have, and a fancy badge in Discord. And then Clean Automation, working on a badge for that, but go ahead and take that exam. And when you are signed in, just head over to either My Learning or your profile, scroll down, and you'll see everything that you have started and forgotten about, if you're like me, or that you've completed and passed. And sure enough, I have my little Roost Foundation certificate right here to share it out. If you have any questions about CluckU, go ahead and ping us in the CluckU Discord channel. You can also email us at clucku@roost.io, and we welcome your feedback.
Thanks, Clea. Yeah, that's great. I've heard really, really good things from a lot of people that have jumped straight into that brand new Jinja course with Eddie the Legend. So who will be live and in person at MSP GeekCon next week for anyone who's attending. So be sure to go and let Eddie know that he's a legend in person. But yeah, great stuff there, Clea, and love that view where you can kind of see everything that you've been working on and share and flex on social and LinkedIn. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up, I want to take the time, guys. We're going to start moving into some more demo pieces. And I always know, like, life is pretty busy and gets really fast, and we all use lots of different software, and software is being updated all the time, and sometimes it's difficult to try and see what's happening, where's the tips and tricks. And so I wanted to call on Roost's own lovable English gentleman, Ben Jenkins, who's going to kind of show us a little kind of cool workflow that he thinks is super helpful. So whilst it may be not necessarily brand new, it may be something that you guys haven't seen before or may have just missed. And ultimately, coming back to the start of this conversation, we're all about driving efficiency and time savings. So this is something we're going to start doing on the European open mics a little bit more regularly, just to kind of almost double back sometimes and be like, hey, you might have missed this. Here's a cool tip and trick. And so, Mr. Jenkins, yeah, over to you, sir, to show us about the mailbox alert, I think, was it?
Yes, thank you. I feel like lovable is probably overselling it a little bit, but thank you. I'll take that. And I'm also not going to start in German as Clea did, because I will screw it up completely and offend someone here. So we will just stick to English today, if that's okay. So yeah, as George said, I think it's I think it's super easy when we kind of first come on board with Roost. We start building, we pick out a couple of the pre-builts, and we go, yeah, this is what we want to focus on. And it's really easy to forget that there are some really awesome pre-builts that are super easy for you to be able to deploy, that are essentially ready for you to be able to just kind of go ahead and use. Now, let's take a step back from there. What is a crate? You'll hear I've just used two terms there, crate, pre-built. It's essentially the same thing. So a crate is a pre-built workflow, is a pre-packaged workflow. It's essentially a list of workflows, maybe scripts, triggers, forms, the ways to be able to kick it off. It is something that you should be able to go ahead and deploy and then start utilizing. Now, we have got an absolute ton of these pre-builts, and I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see my screen now. There we are. Over here on the Crate Marketplace. One thing that I did want to draw people's attention to as well, this is a fairly new thing and something that I am hugely in love with. Adam is here, so I will give a massive shout out for this. I don't know if this has been shared with you guys before, but there is a public Crate page where you can go to, you can click your setup types, filter descriptions, sort by integrations. This is a super easy way to be able to see kind of in real time what live crates exist inside of the Roost platform if you didn't want to go through the crate marketplace here. So always good to have kind of both options there for you. So as I was saying, pre-built workflow, ready-made automation for you guys to be able to start using. They're all stored here in our crate marketplace. And to be able to get to the alert when user mailboxes are reaching quota, super easy. You can either go ahead and type it into the search bar just there, or if you go to the filter and scroll down, you'll see Stuart's favorites. The tags or the filters, we have a load of these kind of set up for different pre-builts. I really advise taking a look at all of them that are inside of Stuart's favorites. These are some of the pre-builts, the crates that we kind of really recommend that people are getting huge time savings and value from. And they're more often than not, sometimes you may want to reach out to us if you do need a hand, or reach out to your CS person for a hand with setting them up. But more often than not, they are pretty quick, easy, straightforward deployments. So that brings us pretty nicely into the kind of why do I want the alert user mailbox reaching quota? As we know, your customers are more than likely getting alerts whenever they have a mailbox hitting a certain percentage. But let's also be realistic. They are end users as well, and end users really like to ignore emails and alerts telling them that there's a problem coming, because that way they get to speak to you guys more often. Of course, they want to be doing that. So they're going to be ignoring those things. But what they do tend to pick up on is when you guys are raising issues with them. Let's go ahead and give you guys a really easy way for you to be proactive rather than reactive to these types of issues, users, mailboxes reaching a certain percentage. So what this does is you can have it set to run as often as you want. I believe by default it's set to run every day. Someone is able to, you can fact check me and in real time if people would like. But what this one will do is it will go ahead and it will run against all of your accounts, all the customers that you manage. It will look at their mailbox quotas, and when it hits a certain percentage, it's going to raise that as a ticket inside of your ticketing system. Now that's by default. You can edit this so that it can actually contact the customer as well. So again, it's going through every day. Normally it's in the morning is when I kind of recommend this, but you could obviously run it overnight. It's going to do those checks. And then from there, it's going to alert you guys to that. It means that you can be proactive, reach out to that customer, alert them to the fact that this is happening, and give them that heads up on that. In terms of deploying this pre-built, it is really, really simple. Click onto it. You'll see you've got a lovely overview here giving you a rundown on kind of what the crate does, what it doesn't do, the features, all that kind of fun stuff, pretty much everything that I've just gone ahead and ran through. And we can then obviously go ahead and start unpacking this crate. This is where the configuration really comes in. So what you're essentially filling in here is when a user's mailbox hits X percentage, let's go ahead and either create a ticket, or let's also contact the user via the ticket. What I tend to see the majority of MSPs doing is putting this number somewhere between 90 and 98%. Don't put it to 100%, because they're going to be calling you anyway at that point because they can't send or receive anything, right? So make sure that it's a little bit lower. I tend to like to stick around the 93, 95%. Obviously, down to you guys and kind of how often you expect to be alerted to this kind of thing. From there, there's the create a ticket option, the contact user. Generally, I see most people doing the create a ticket. And then in terms of deployment, it is as simple as going ahead, clicking continue. Please fill in the time saved. As per always, having time saved is super valuable. Having a true understanding of how long this process would take you, and then inputting that number here is incredibly valuable with showing, is Roost working for you guys? From there, you can go ahead and disable the trigger by default. So there is it runs enabled by default, but you can go ahead and disable that here if you would like to. And finally, on from there, go ahead and click on unpack. The pre-built here, it's pretty quick at going ahead and deploying. There we go. It's just gone ahead and unpacked. I'm not using a fancy environment. I am actually going ahead and utilizing the, I think I'm on the main US instance here. So you'll find the EU, all instances should run just as fast as that. But that is my pre-built now up and running. It's unpacked. I can jump into the workflow and that's it.
Thanks, Ben. That's great. Yeah, it's like you said, so many different pre-builts available. So I'd advise it, whether you're brand new to Roost or been with us for a year or two, feel free to hop into that marketplace and use those filters that Ben showed to see if there's anything in there that you might be able to leverage instantly. I just wanted to call out as well Daniel's note in the chat where these are also things that you can modify to suit your needs, where more of the work is done for you. So great to see, Daniel, that you were able to take this and kind of throw on some bolt-ons to make sure that it applies different policies, which is really cool to see as well.
Rainer did a great point, and it's something that I would normally talk about, is that you can have your tech reach out to the customer and say, hey, do you want to archive some stuff or purchase a new license? So this is where you can start using some of these pre-builts for like revenue generation, right? If they're buying a license, you can put your upcharge on that. And okay, we're only talking tiny percentage, but with the idea of marginal gains, especially when you look at a time saving like this with marginal gains, it really does add up. Those kind of smaller values really add up over time. So yeah, I like that point as well.
Yeah, and sometimes in those conversations, just giving people a choice of both outcomes benefit you as the MSP. That's a nice little tip there as well. And I know there's a constant struggle in conversation, particularly when it comes to Outlook and M365, of people trying to get customers towards business premium that comes with the enhanced security. Maybe this is a lever you can use, as simple as, hey, your mailbox is getting full and we need to, upgrade your license that way. And you can kind of maybe avoid some of the more heavy security focused conversation that sometimes, scares people off. So yeah, all good stuff. Thanks so much for sharing, Ben. If anyone has any questions around that, feel free to drop it in the chat as always, and we can get back to you guys in there. But for now, we're going to move on to Mr. Craig Duff. Craig, thanks for hopping on. I believe you've got a pretty nifty workflow that you want to show us today as well. Before we jump in, I just wanted to kind of ask a couple of preliminary questions just so people understand you and your background. So, you're kind of based in the London area. Maybe you can just start, Craig, by telling us a little bit about what you do at the MSP, and how long you've been using Roost.
Oh, sure. No, so I've come from I live in southeast London. I've been with EasyPC for over a couple of years now, and I've been brought on at EasyPC to do purely automation. So when I joined, I was thrown in at the deep end to try and learn Roost, build up the ranks. My background, I've come from a infrastructure background, so I dabbled with scripting and I know how things work together. So yeah, I've been there for a couple of years. Me and Will go way back. We've known each other since school, so it was a nice sort of hand in hand when I wanted to leave the corp to try and see if we can explore and do something with automation. It's a fantastic opportunity, and I was so thankful to be here and learning using an amazing product and speaking to brilliant people.
Yeah, thanks. Great. That expression, like thrown in the deep end, I feel like a lot of people can feel like that, whether it's with in any aspect of IT sometimes, right? What did you feel, or maybe what's a tip or trick you can share for other folks that are new to automation? Like what really helped accelerate your learning and get you getting value out of Roost early?
So for me, it was just calls like this, open mic night, seeing demos, looking at the crates, the onboarding crate, offboarding crate, diving in to see what it does, and just clicking to see, Azure Sync, wait and click a delay. You can click into it. You can read the Jinja. You can even now, we have done for ages, just copy that into a different workflow, play around with it. Try different settings, try different environments, set it up with different clients, break it, fix it, and obviously the Discord channel for Roost is fantastic. That every time I've posted in there, I almost get an instant response from some of the really good guys in the rock, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I feel like I've got some good support behind me, which is great.
Okay, well, thanks for the kind words, Craig. So tell us a little bit about sort of maybe we'll start with the process itself that you'll be walking us through. Could you start by telling us sort of the problem that you're trying to fix and what that looks like manually, and then you can feel free to share your screen and take us through your canvas.
Yeah, sure. And so, like some of the MSPs in the UK, we use suppliers to get our M365 licensing, and one of them being Ingram. And we had a new client that come on board, and they use Ingram to generate reports to look at their monthly revenue. So it gives them like a CSV file with a link which they click into to unzip a gzip, look at this CSV file, and inside there is a list of their clients, their products, when they first started, when it's going to expire and stuff like that. And they basically wanted to put that information into SQL to be able to use BrightGauge to start looking at and graphing graphing and comparing it against their invoices that are actually in their help desk system. So it was sort of a two-step process. So the first one was to look at Ingram, look at seeing how we can try and get that CSVs file into Roost to then try and get it into some kind of JSON format for us to be able to play with the data to be able to then insert it into SQL. So
lots of big sort of dirty data sets coming in via CSV. Want to take that and make it a little bit more beautiful through a data aggregation tool like BrightGauge.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, because of what I'm doing, and I'll show you in a minute, because of what I'm doing, it's not built into Roost. it opens up opportunities to look at sort of other tools to use with Roost to be able to get the end result for the client, which was great, because when I'm presented with a problem, not only do you have to try and think how you're going to get it into Roost to try and manipulate the data to do what the client wants. As soon as the data's in Roost, you can do whatever you want with that data, whether it be SQL, Azure, going into a PSA, whatever. So if I share my screen, I'll sort of demo it, and I did demo this on a Friday night open mic night, but I've slightly adapted it to make it a little bit more worth it. But but what I've done is I've built a sort of a dummy environment, so I've not actually showing real data. I've just made some a dummy sort of spreadsheet, but you'll see in a second. So you can see that this is how simple it is. Can you all see my screen? See?
Yeah.
So I come across this, as I said, I had this problem. How am I going to get that link that they sent me into Roost? And I was given the link, and when I clicked it, you're given sort of a file. You're given a file. This is obviously fake, but you're given this link, and then you need to extract it. So as a GZIP, when you double click on it, you're given this spreadsheet. When you open it, you can see there's some data that the customer wanted. So they might say, I want cell B, cell H, and I want that in Roost into a sort of a SQL format. So the first thing you think of is, how am I going to take that URL and extract it and get the data into Roost? So speaking to Roost, some of the other developers and the guys that I know, I come across this product called PythonAnywhere.com, and this was purely like sort of a proof of concept, because I knew you could do something like this within Python, but you can't necessarily do it in Roost. But if I can do it within PythonAnywhere, I can build like a Flask app, send it the URL, get it to do its thing, and then pipe the data back. So that's exactly what I did, and with the help of AI, I produced this script. So sorry, when you sign up, this is a completely free of charge product. It doesn't cost anything. If you want to use it on a monthly basis, it's as little as $5 a month. It costs nothing. But with a click of a button, you can go through a wizard and say, I want a Flask app. I want a web front end. And basically, with the help of AI, I produced this app route and told it that I'm going to send you a post request and give you that link and the spreadsheet, and I want you to extract it and give it back to me with the cells and the stuff that I need from it. So with that, if you look up, so I built this HTTP function so to send it to Python. So if you go to craigduff.pythonanywhere/upload, that uploads the route. I'm then just passing the URL to it. I mean, this could obviously be like a dynamic URL, because obviously I'm doing list reports from Ingram, and then I can get that URL and put it in here. But basically, I've put the URL here statically, and then I'm going to send it to Roost, and then I'm going to take its response, and I'm going to grab the response from the result.data, pass it into SQL, and then do it. So if the demo gods are with me today, if I press test, this should run. I did have some fun with SQL, because I would normally do when I've got the data, I'd normally do like a for loop to just do it in one big go and go, here are SQL, have this. But with this particular problem, this spreadsheet was massive, and I started to hit SQL limitations when I was playing around with it. So what I've done with this SQL is I've done it with items. So what I've done is I make a list, then iterate over that list and insert the data one by one to guarantee the data is going to get into SQL. But for this test, I've just done whacking 10 at a time, and you can see that I've got the data. For that data.data, I've got the data from the CSV, and it's populated all this. And then if I go back to my SQL to query the table, you can see now I've got everything in that spreadsheet the customer wants, and now he can take the BrightGauge and query the data and compare it with his help desk. I mean, obviously that's not it, but this is just a proof of concept to say, you know, Roost is capable of doing so much that don't feel that you can become unstuck, because with webhooks and using these different tools, you can bring it in. And you don't even have to use PythonAnywhere. You can spin up a Linux box and set up Flask yourself to take the data and give the data back in, you know, and slice and dice the data. So yeah, that's it from me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Craig. I feel like it's, you know, our CRO, Charlie, I heard him use a really good analogy once for Roost, where it's like MSPs have, you know, this huge stack that's a little bit like all the instruments or sections in an orchestra. And Roost is kind of like the conductor that makes everything, you know, sound nice. I think that's a really good example where you're taking different data sets, even different tools, and Roost is really helping you streamline how those are all working together to get the output and value that your customer wants in the end. So thanks so much for sharing, and particular shout out to you, Craig, as well. I know that you're new to the presenting as well. So
oh yeah, look, I'm all red. Down my local squash club, they call me Pinky, because it doesn't matter what I do. Even if I play squash for a little while, I just come out and I'm red, and I'm just. But people tell me it's a healthy thing, right? I don't know, but hopefully it's going to get easier. The more I talk, the more Thanks.
No, you did. Great job. So yeah, it's good to see you. Thank you for that. And yeah, a good example for anybody else. You know, guys, it's all about collaborating and sharing stuff. So if there's that voice in your head that's like, oh, I don't really want to present, you know, don't worry about that. We're all here to be you know, encouraging and helpful. And as Craig mentioned, he did it on our Friday open mic, and now he's back again next week. So yeah, feel free to jump in. With 15 minutes left, we do have someone else I wanted to call on, Mr. Elliot Rees. Are you here? Are you still there? Let me check.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm good.
So same kind of story, Elliot. I know that you had some something you wanted to share with us today, but again, just for other folks on the call, maybe you can start by kind of telling us who you are, where you're from, how long you've been using Roost for.
Yeah, I'm Elliot. I work for Systems IT. I'm based in Southeast London as well, and we've been using Roost for coming up 2 years now, maybe a bit longer. I lose track. It all blurs after a while. When I first came to Systems IT, it was just a sort of an entry level sort of second line engineer position, and I'm now one of their senior engineers at the company, and I think I've been with them for just over 3 years now. Yeah.
Good stuff. And would you have any you know, tidbits of information, tips, tricks for anyone who's new to Roost, getting started with automation? You know, what were some of the lessons you learned early, or you can share?
Start small, silly things. Doesn't have to even achieve anything. Just silly stuff. Play, and generally make and break. Make something and then see how far you can push it before you break it, and then try and figure out why you broke it. I would say that's probably the easiest thing. Is to just, you know, yes, you know, watch the training stuff. It's great, gives you that kind of broad overview, but just make stuff. Just think of a silly thing, something that makes a list, and then cool, take it further, something that makes a list and save it somewhere, makes a ticket based on that list, or silly little things like that, and then sort of just grow and iterate slowly and just add another thing, and then when it breaks, try and figure out why it broke, and when you can't figure it out, you ask the rock, and and they tell you how silly you were because you spelled something wrong or something like that, which is half the time what my problems are.
I love it. That's such a good mindset to have, Elliot, with particularly with kind of like trying to break things or preparing for that, because even if you build the perfect workflow and it still works within 6 months, chances are maybe something better is you know, come out in terms of different products or technology available. So you have to iterate anyway. So yeah, I love that approach. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to show us today, maybe again starting with the sort of the challenge, the problem that you're trying to fix, and then we'll see what it looks like.
So one thing that we've I think any kind of IT company where you've got engineers and help desks and things like that, and you've got customers that either, you know, you've got customers that are onboarding all the time, or you've got new products that you're introducing to customers, or you're switching services. After a while, you do start to get a lot of questions of, hey, does this person, you know, does this client have this? Do they have Intune? You know, it's like, oh, I know they've got Intune, but do they have autopilot? You know, do they have Nova 4 training? Because they got this phishing email and it seemed to got through the net. Do they have Nova 4 training? And we've noticed over time is there's certain things like that, and we've sort of just been trying to come up with a way of consolidating that stuff of like you don't really need to know the details of the product or what it is. You just need to have a quick glance sheet that you can look at and say, oh, they've got Intune, they've got Autotask, ticket system that they use, or they've got Know Before training, they've got Autopilot, those kind of things where it's just a glance to just trying to kind of point you, because most of the time you go, oh, they've got Know Before, therefore I know I need to log into the Know Before portal. They've got a Meraki Firewall, I need to log into the Meraki portal, and things like that, just to try and make things a little bit less having to dig through any documentation or having to look at or knowing where to look is sometimes the hardest thing for some engineers. It's just to make that barrier to entry of kind of finding out the information for themselves. So we're trying to come up with an idea of just creating cheat sheets for our customer, just a simple, quick overview. Yes, no, do they have it? Don't they have it? And having something that's then consistent across all our clients, regardless of their setups, just to make things a little bit smoother. And obviously one way for us to achieve that consistency is to use something like Roost to create those entries. So we use IT Glue for our documentation system. And despite the fact it's a documentation system, IT Glue does not have any function in their API to modify or do anything with documents, which is weird, but there we go. So instead, we're using a flexible asset for a cheat sheet, and it's a very dumb flexible asset. It has one thing in it, which is a box HTML window that you can create and type in. So we're just using HTML in Roost just to try and flesh it out and basing on forms. And it also gives us an opportunity to review our documentation as well. As we go through and create these for each client, we can review the bits they're entering. And we're starting small. We're not putting here's the 20 things we want to show on this cheat sheet. We're going, right, okay, here's the 4 or 5 we're going to do, and then in a few weeks' time we'll say, okay, what questions have people been asked? Cool, we'll add those questions. Right, okay, let's add those to the list then. So if I share my browser window here,
as well as loading up, I love this idea, the cheat sheet at a glance, because everyone's using all kinds of different things. So just to be able to say, yep, we have this client, and here's kind of the client stack, almost super helpful.
Yeah. So if I show, so here's kind of what the concept of the end product would end up looking like. It looks nothing like that at the moment. It just is this very small top section with most of these things not even there. But the idea is just to have something that's a little bit color coded, a quick summary for the most common stuff that people just need to know, the platform identifiers, endpoints, stuff like that. And then just to break down, go in a bit more detail. And so forth. And this isn't what we're going to have. This is just a random list of things I've added just to sort of show the rest of the team to say, let's just try this. Probably isn't going to work, but let's just try it anyway. And so obviously to start off with, I just wanted to make a form with a couple of the different questions, things like support level, security, AV, phone system, Intune status, and Know Before status were just the ones that seem to crop up frequently, especially as we slowly move people more into Intune and autopilots and things like that. And these are all just option generators that I've made, and they just are based on some org variables. So for example, if I select us, I've already filled our one in roughly. It will go through and just quickly try to grab what those settings are from the org variables, and it will just pre-fill those in. Obviously we can go in and then change them and then submit. Obviously if it's a client we haven't done, so I've got my test tenant here, I can go through and say, okay, they're a silver level support client, they're going to have Sophos, they're using Teams Voice for their phone, they do have Intune, which will then show the autopilot option, they don't have Know Before, and they don't have autopilot. And I can just hit submit. What that then is going to do is it's going to create a flexible asset in IT Glue eventually. Refresh. Yep. And at the minute, it just generates this one tiny section. And obviously, as we add, it will add more sections when we add them. The actual workflow itself is pretty bare bones, and because it's very new, and by new, I mean this was made Tuesday on a lunch break. So we just take the input and then we branch off into 2 avenues. This one is I'm not even going to bother re-showing it in any elaborate way. It just sets the org variables or updates them. And then the main one is for the IT glue, where we first, it's obviously based on that customer we've selected, and we just take that ID that's been passed and just get their entry for IT glue. We then set the variables, and this is mostly just to override things that are like yes and no and replace them with a particular thing, or just to capitalize them in some sort of more readable format. Or if they haven't selected anything at all, we just set it to NA, not applicable for the client. We then do a quick list for the cheat sheet flexible asset to see if they even have one, because we may not have made one yet. And it will just store that. We then build the cheat sheet. Obviously, as this gets a bit more elaborate, this will look at templating and stuff like this. At the minute, this is just some basic test stuff whilst we kind of play around with it. And all it's doing, it's just, we've got our things here, and it's just obviously putting what the selected variable was in here as the output result. And then after that, we just simply do a quick check. Did we actually find a cheat sheet? If we did, cool. We just run the update for the flexible asset. If we didn't, it makes one. And the final little thing it does, it just sends a message to the rest of the senior engineers to say, hey, someone has either created or updated the cheat sheet. Also spits out the URL. So it just sends a message, cheat sheet's been updated for target org, and says who updated it, and just gives them a quick link they can click on to go straight to that cheat sheet. Just so when people do update them, we can all check in and say, cool, why did you change it to the wrong thing? Or what have we changed recently that we haven't told people about? Because sometimes that's the case. People are working on a project to migrate someone to a new product, and sometimes they forget to tell everyone else that, by the way, they've now moved to a new service. And this is just a way that helps us to, hopefully we'll try and just keep on top of that. But at the minute, the big thing for us is also it allows us to have a reason to review our documentation, because none of us really want to review our documentation at the end of the day, let's be honest, because it's long, it's boring, and it's not fun. But at least with this, it's a prompting point to say, hey, look, turns out we never updated the fact that they moved from Webroot to Sophos, and everyone's just kind of gotten on with that, and no one's told us because
they emailed us about it, and someone saw it, but we didn't. Update anything.
I mean, we do have a form for people to fill in to say, hey, there's some issues with some IT glue documentation, but getting people to actually do that is pretty much the hurdle. So for us, this is a way to just skim over what we've got.
Love it. Thanks so much, Elliot, for sharing that. Very, very cool. I am the son of two librarians. So, on one hand, sport was never really going to be my thing. But yeah, documentation and organized things like that is, massive interest to me. So I think that's super cool. And as someone who spent a lot of manual time in previous lives doing that kind of thing, like manual transfer, updating, automating documentation, I think is something, that's super cool. So did anyone else on the call have any questions for Elliot about that, or any other thoughts just on the topic of automating documentation and what your clients are using for their different products and tech stack? No? Okay, cool. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left, guys. Just want to open the floor for any general Q&A. If anyone has anything that they wanted to circle back to, whether it's on pre-built automations, product, anything in Discord that they've seen, now is the time for our good friends in Europe to pipe up. Craig, go ahead.
This is a question for the educational team. Is it on the roadmap to do app builder training at all?
It is. So if you are already using App Builder and you have any feedback on training you'd like to see, definitely send it our way.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't have specific dates, sorry.
That's fine. I'll message you privately in Discord.
Awesome.
I want to take the. Oh, yeah, cool.
Cool. Anyone got any other queries, questions, comments, concerns, cashews?
Is anyone here early in their onboarding journey and participating in our cohort calls? I saw Mark gesturing with his arm, so maybe, or he's talking to someone behind the screen.
I think he's doing the shouting across the office arm maneuvers, I believe.
That's great.
I do them
All
all
right.
the time.
Anyway, if you are new to your onboard journey, I just wanted to take this opportunity to plug our onboarding cohort calls. These are calls where we are exploring a lot of the concepts that are required to really make automation like a central part of your strategy, but maybe aren't necessarily directly onboarding related. It's not stuff you're going to get through the normal onboarding track. Also doing deep dives into some common tips and tricks and useful information to know about how to build in Roost. So make sure to sign up for those. Again, if you are new to onboarding, you will automatically get invited the first week of the following month when you start your onboarding journey. So awesome.
Cool, thanks, Jamie. Okay, folks, with 1 minute left, we will wrap it up there. Thanks so much for everyone who is attending live. As always, we'll be back next month, so the first week of June, to kind of give you guys a consolidated update of everything that's happened in May. But as always, we have our weekly Friday open mics. So feel free to join those and reach out to us on Discord if you need any help with anything. For anyone, again, just to reiterate, who has cool stuff that they want to show, we have a forum that's available on the docs site, or you can ping me directly on Discord if you wish. We'd love to kind of just see more of the stuff you guys are building. And as we've seen today, it doesn't need to be like these crazy, ridiculous, mind-blowing workflows. Sometimes simple is better and best. So thank you again to Craig and Elliot for showing us those workflows. And for anyone who is going to be at MSP GeekCon live next week, the Roost team will be there, including myself. Please stop by and say hello in person. All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.